dominant culture has a hard time, again, the luxury of being in the dominant culture, and especially given white privilege, is you don't have to think about how this affects. It doesn't affect you. Yeah. You don't have to think about how it affects other people. One of the things we talked about that I could think of is like support raising in parachurches.
Oh yeah.
If you're in a parachurch, you support raise. If you're white, the reality is more than likely you have Pew Research Center estimates white households are worth roughly 20 times as much. Yeah. So you go back to a community and you're raising support, no big deal. I mean, you're gonna have to work hard, but you raise that support, you're done, you're good, you're moving on with your parachurch job. Yeah. Minority, and specifically African Americans, they're going back to a community where there's zero or negative wealth. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to raise support in that? So there's a disparity there in real time that is affecting real people. And
absolutely.
I've seen parachurches like almost disintegrate because they haven't dealt with the reality of that disparity.
Absolutely. I do think that that's a great one. And there's a group in town here that's a part of an organization where their staff has to raise support. And, out of all of these folks that have said, hey, we really want to for there to be more color and minority presence. This has been the first group that I've really seen put their money where their mouth is. And they've got a slew of the best guys. And what they told them was, hey, if y'all come in long term, we still want you to raise support because that's how things work. But here's what's going to take place for the next 3 to 5 years, right? We're going to give you that runway. And for the next 3 to 5 years, what's going to take place is y'all can, we're going to pay for y'all to be on staff. And now y'all have 3 to 5 years to build up your contacts, not just in your networks, but in ours. And you've got 3 to 5 years to do the work to where you have a platform to raise on. And I think it doesn't eliminate the fact that they'll have to raise support, but it gives them the runway that they need to be able to take off and fly. So yeah, that's one. Education and theological education is one as well. I mean, there's something about being set up and having the discretionary time and or resources to be able to really give yourself fully to that work that I think most guys just didn't have, right? And the ones that do, right? So I think guys like myself or Dahadi do. So just kind of all of the folks that may have been on these things, we have found ourselves as a part of churches or partnered with predominantly white organizations that foot a majority of the bill where it would be impossible for us to do that. So right now I'm in a doctoral program at Southeastern Baptist, and Danny Aiken is one of the guys that I think gets this more than anyone else. And what he's done is he's used the privilege and the platforms that he has to bring up this next generation of guys that only needed the resources and a platform. And he's given selflessly, and as far as theological training goes, I haven't seen anybody do it better than him and that school, and just their generosity to say, hey, privilege does exist. And just so we can show you that it does, we're going to use our platform to raise the funds that are needed to give folks an advantage that came in at a disadvantage. And so I think that's encouraging and inspiring, not just somebody that would acknowledge that privilege exists, but would prove that it does by using their privilege to do good in order to challenge those who may not think that it's there, to say, look at all the good that you could do if you would acknowledge, right? It's not about saying you're privileged, therefore feel bad about yourself. No, it's saying in the providence of God, you have an advantage, use it for somebody else's advantage, and don't sleep on it. Don't bury it. Use it.